Hey guys, it's Andy Coleman, and I have a very special guest with me today. This is Juan Carlos. He is with EXP and the owner of GoldBar, one of the most amazing CRMs I have ever found in my life. He's one of the top realtors in the country right now. Juan, thank you so much for coming on. Maybe just say a few words about yourself.
Andy, thank you so much for having me. As mentioned right before this call, your energy is contagious. I'm just really excited to be here. A little background on me. I've been in real estate since 2016. I got into this business because I wanted to achieve financial freedom, not just for myself, but for my family as well. And I really saw this as the best vehicle to get there. I started out as a solo agent. I went on to build a team. I scaled out of production. And now I basically just make money off my consulting agency, which actually helps real estate professionals build systems within their business to scale up production like I did.
So let's talk about that really quick because I just signed up for GoldBar, the CRM, and I'm having like massive successes already, and I'm like barely even getting started. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? What's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So GoldBar is a consulting agency. A lot of us see us as a CRM because we kind of give you the software to go ahead and run your business. But full transparency, we're not a CRM company. We actually play nice like with all the other CRM companies. We can integrate into what they're doing. But to make it as simple as possible, we build you a system to help you generate leads, nurture leads, and convert those leads into clientele. And the whole concept behind this is 99% of the people that you speak to nowadays are never going to be ready to transact immediately. You could go out there, knock on 100 doors, and I promise you, like maybe one out of 100 people, if you're lucky, are ready to sell at that moment. But here's the issue: the other 99% of people are going to want to transact at some point in the future. They're going to have a life event such as having a baby, getting married, maybe they get divorced, maybe they want to downsize, they need to relocate for a job position, whatever that thing may be. At some point, they're going to actually have to go ahead and make an actual transaction happen when it comes to buying or selling. Here's the issue: because you never bother to stay in touch with them over the last 2 or 3 years, they forgot who you were. They maybe actually think that you're not in the business anymore. They may think you don't even care about them. Whatever that thing is, you didn't continue to nurture the relationship. So what we build at GoldBar is that entire system so that any single time you build a relationship with someone, you put them into our system, and then we'll stay in charge of actually following up with them so that you can just go ahead and focus on building your business.
Dude, it's the craziest thing. I interviewed Justin Mercer, the tattooed agent. I don't know if you've heard of him. Tattoos all over his face, big Jack guy. And he said the exact same thing you're saying right now. This is like 2 days ago. He was like, oh my God, all the clients that I used to work with or, reached out to, they were like, I forgot about you. And I thought you were too busy, seeing you on social media. And I didn't use you to buy my house or didn't use you to sell my house. He said he's having a massive problem with this. So this is good for agents like him, because he's a top dog. He's making hundreds of thousands a year and he's still losing deals. So this would be a good platform for agents like him.
Yeah, so it would be perfect for someone like him because the biggest issue we have as top producers and as salespeople is we always have our eye on the prize of the people that we're working with that are ready to buy or sell now. So I'll give you an example. You go speak to two people. One person has to sell a $3 million house in the next 10 days. The other one wants to sell a $7 million mansion, but they don't need to sell for 10 years. Who are you more motivated to stay in touch with? Probably the person that's ready to buy or sell now. Little did you
Yeah.
know that the friend, cousin, and sister of the $7 million listing only need to sell next week. But because you didn't bother to stay in touch with them, now you don't have the opportunity to get those referrals. So what our system does is get rid of the entire automation and nurturing process for you so that you could just focus on the people now, but let us take care of the people long-term for you and turn them into hot referrals for you.
I love that right now that you're saying that. So like, because I didn't like fully set it up yet. So like, are you able to send out like, mass emails, like text messages with AI? Because I know I'm starting to work with that a little bit. Like, how does the whole like actually staying in touch with you work?
So there's three parts to the entire process from getting a lead to actually going ahead and closing the client. The first part is capturing it. You want to make sure you have a great qualification system to actually capture incoming leads. We use smart numbers and landing pages strategically so that any single time that lead comes in, we get three things: their name, phone number, and email. We then, yes, as mentioned, use artificial intelligence to actually qualify the lead for us. Think of it like having a 24/7 personal assistant that instead of hiring a
Oh,
VA or paying someone a salary, they're actually going to be ready to pick up the phone and actually qualify them on whether they're ready to buy or sell. And then once we go ahead and qualify them, well, there's only two things we're qualifying them on. Are they ready to transact over the next 90 days? Which at that case, we book you on a meeting. Or are they more long term? And then in that case, we go ahead and we put you on our nurturing system. Now we're on step
this,
two, which is the actual nurturing process. In this step, we actually send out the emails, the text, the voicemail blast on behalf of the agent, white labeled just for them. It looks like it's coming from them to that entire following. And then over the course of time, What this translates to is they remember who you are. You're actually staying in touch with them. You're actually nurturing and elevating that
Yeah.
relationship. And then you get to step three, which is converting them, which you now actually have to book them on a meeting. During the actual appointment setting process, we're going to send them a couple of things to actually stay in touch with them through email and text. And then the higher of a chance that they have to actually show up to that meeting through building out the right website and creating the right online presence now increases their conversion. You combine all three of those things, it's an entire system to predictably acquire more clients.
Because you're like the master of systems, right? Like everybody would say me, I'm the master of rentals, right? But you're the master of systems, and that's basically what this is like a management company, but it's not a management company, but it's like an AI manager that's going to run your entire follow up business, right?
And yeah, that's a really cool way to see it, because at the end of the day, like I tell everyone, like you could go out there and you could be a transactional agent where you're just closing deal to deal, but long term, the majority of your referrals, the majority of your business is going to come from those people that weren't ready when you initially met them. So if you had a partner or an operator or a manager in place that was nurturing them and staying in touch with them this entire time, you'd be closing so much more business. The issue is no one has enough money, nor the time, nor the desire to go out there and hire that person. So what we do is we build you that entire system that runs on autopilot without you being there.
That is, oh my god, that's good. I've lost, me personally, I've lost so much. I know I have. I've lost so many deals just because I didn't have anything like this. Like, yeah, I did just set up Constant Contact a little while ago, maybe a few months ago, and I'm getting a couple deals here or there, but it's just not it. Like, I needed something else, and I'm so happy I met you because like this, I feel like this is literally gonna change my entire business and probably double my production. So, can you talk about? I don't know if you could talk about this, but can you talk about the numbers at all? Like what are you
Yeah.
anticipating? What does it do for you or agents? You know what I mean, numbers wise.
So I'll give you my entire backstory, like just to really like give you some perspective on how I use the software, the system, and everything on that end. When I got licensed back in 2016, I did everything that everyone told me to do, which was door knock, cold call, email market, go out there and send out mailers, like basically any prospecting strategy you could imagine. I would do that every single week. And for my first year in real estate, I ended up selling one house. I felt out of my
Oh shit.
face. I thought I was doing phenomenal, and I had 5 contracts that all went in escrow, and 4 of them ended up failing. And I only had closed like one house my first year in the business. So I took all the money, which was $6,000 that I had, and I said, you know what? If I'm going to be successful in this, I need to find someone who has a system. I need to find someone who's already successful doing what they're doing, and I need them to teach me. So I did. I found one of the best coaches in the country. I gave him all my money. And luckily, the following year, I sold $6 million worth of real estate for close to $120,000 in GCI. From
Well,
there,
who was
I
it?
started.
Could you say who it was?
Oh, Sean Kokoska. He's awesome, by the way. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was president of Maps Coaching with Keller Williams at the time. He's at EXP Realty now. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. From there, I went ahead and I said to myself, okay, cool. I understand how to generate leads. How do I now start staying in touch with them a little bit better? I hired another coach. And then from there, I went from 6 million all the way up to 12 million. Following year, I did 12 million all the way up to 24 million. And then at the $24 million mark, I started feeling like this bottleneck. Like I really didn't have everything in order because I was doing everything myself. I did have a buyer agent and an assistant at the time, but I didn't really have the systems that they were operating under. So it was almost like the blind leading the blinds. If I'm going out there and running out and putting out fires 24/7, whenever you bring on that assistant or that buyer agent onto your team, they're probably going to have the same mentality and work like you do instead of working very efficiently as if they're in the system. So now it's around like 2019. That's when I started really building out systems. 2019, 2020, right around during COVID hit. And then in 2020, I built out all the systems I needed to not just do $39 million in sales that year, but to automate the entire thing. I'm talking about the lead capture process, the lead nurturing, the follow up. We were sending out gifts to clients on autopilot. That entire thing was in place. I had a manager in my business for every single part, including sales, marketing, operations, branding, and expansion. And then by then, 2020 was like my official retirement from sales. I haven't actually sold a house since 2020 personally. 2021, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Wait. So lots, a lot. Wow. Wait. So 2020 alone, like as a solo agent, before you start hiring a team, you did 39 million in sales.
Never alone. I haven't worked alone since 2018.
Oh.
Yeah, like
Oh.
literally in 2018, I hired a buyer agent and I hired my assistant in 2019. So like my
Okay. So
my
I
whole
just
thing was always, yeah, my whole thing was always like, how do I immediately outsource something that isn't the best use of my time? Yes, I made less money because I don't get to keep the whole piece of the pie, but also it allowed me to scale way faster than the average agent.
You got to give something up to get to the next level. That's what I'm starting to learn
Correct.
now. I started to learn that this year. So basically, like you spent what 2 years, right, as a solo realtor, and then you were like, you know what, I'm doing well now because you said you made what, like 300K or something, right? That would be like $300,000 in your second year, right?
Well, I had 6 million. I did 120,000. The second year I did a quarter
Okay,
million. The third year I did 400,000.
okay, which is, dude, that's like unheard of for, you're in the top like 0.001% of like all
So
realtors,
wait, it
that
gets
that
it
do that.
gets
No,
better. It gets better.
it
So
gets better.
2020, we do $39 million in sales. I automate the entire thing. 2021, we do $81 million in sales as a team. It was close to like $2.4 million in gross commissions. But check this out.
Wow.
I didn't work on a single client whatsoever. I was completely removed from the operation. I didn't take phone calls. I wasn't going on showings. I wasn't dealing with paperwork. Like I was removed. I was making it rain leads. And then my entire system was kind of managing it. 2022, I kid you not, like I didn't leave my house or my office to do anything real estate related. I was doing recruiting, I was doing engagement events, I was building my training platform, and I still sold $100 million worth of sales. This is in combination with like under contracts and closed transactions for that year with my team of
Yeah.
like 10 agents. So like
And
if there's anything that anyone picks up from this entire podcast, it's that like you could only go so far by yourself. You need help to actually go out there and help you get to the next level. But what's more important is you need a system so that when you start bringing people to work within your actual like company or your team or your brokerage, they're not running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to put out fires like I was. So the system plus leverage that allows you to scale out of production and essentially retire from sales.
that is so crazy that you were able to do those kind of numbers. And like, how much did you work? Let's do this because what is that, about $3 million or so that you made, last year? How much did you actually work to make that 3 million? Like, what were you able to say? How much you kept of that?
Great question. So I am fully transparent with this. I think our GCI was between like 3.5 to 3.8 million in GCI, which sounds
Ooh,
awesome on paper.
hells
However,
yeah.
my net profit margins were a lot closer to like 12 and a half to like 15%. So bear in mind, I always tell
Oh,
everyone you have two options. You could go out there and make $1 million a year working 24/7. Or what if you can make $500,000 a year doing nothing? I would pick the second one. Well, I went for
me
the
too.
second option, and that's exactly what I did. Now, could I have kept a lot more money in my pocket if I did everything myself? 100%. I could have went on some listings and instead of giving out 50%, I would have kept the other half, but it just wasn't worth the best use of my time. So my actual like team business, I think that made me around like 400 to 500K. But remember, full transparency, like I was hands off, didn't do anything. And then I made a ton of other money from my revenue share, which I get paid off 1,000 agents monthly through my downline at EXP. So for me, it was a combination of the both that really allowed me to give me the lifestyle that I wanted. And now what I'm doing with my entire consulting agency is we're building it up from scratch to get to seven figures as fast as possible. But I'm doing it in a way where the actual service I'm not providing from day one. So if there's anything that like anyone listening is kind of wondering, like what's the secret to all this? It's build a system or build a process so that when you're servicing your client, you don't have to be the one to provide the service. And now you can just focus on marketing and sales.
So it sounds like, over the past, was that 7 years, 8 years that you've been doing real estate for. I mean, you probably busted your ass in the first like couple years, right? Like you really were grinding just to get to that level. Were you doing those like, sleepless nights and 12 hours
Yeah.
plus a day in the beginning?
I think I did 70-hour weeks my first year in the business. And then second year, I probably did 65, 70-hour weeks also. I would work Monday through Sunday, no ifs, and or buts, wake up at 6 in the morning, go to sleep at 9 o'clock at night. And it was like 24/7. My phone would not stop ringing. I would literally like from the crack of dawn to the evening time, it was always working with the client, generating lead, like doing something. And then that's when I kind of started having the epiphany, like, why did I get into this to begin with? I wanted financial freedom for myself, for my family. This isn't financial freedom. This is financial, what do you call it? Like suicide. Like I'm literally putting
Slavery.
myself in a position where I'm going to like die from being overworked. So I said to myself, this isn't scalable. How do I start bringing in that leverage? I brought on that team. I started scaling out of production. And then literally just a few months ago, I got rid of the entire team. Like even the team itself at 10 hours a week was costing me too much time. And you may be thinking, what the
Really?
hell? Why would you
Yeah.
give away
What the
the
hell?
entire team? Well, here's
What?
the catch. The team, right? And check out the entire like process with this. The team is the servicing machine, right? The
Okay.
leads, the database, the system is what brings in the business to now actually fuel this machine. So we have two machines. We have a client acquisition system, and then we have the actual servicing system. I did not give away my client acquisition system. What I gave away was the team servicing system because this one costs time, money, liability. It's just a bunch of headaches. So I kept this one. I still generate the same amount of referrals. The only difference is now I have partnerships with agents throughout the country in the specific markets that I work. And now they pay me very high referral fees. We're talking from 40 to 50% any single time I send them a
Whoa.
deal. And now check this out. I have zero operating costs to run my entire business. So I'll actually end up probably making the same amount of commissions I did last year because I'm not going to get 12 and a half, 15%. I'm going to collect closer to 40 to 50% off the top.
Holy crap. That's, yeah, because I remember I don't do many referrals. I did one last year. I think I got 25 or no, 35. I got 35%. And all I did was connect my buyer with that agent. And then I sat back and collected like, I don't know, $5,000 or something like that. I did nothing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like absolutely incredible. So you built an entire business around doing this, you're saying?
Yeah, and like I said, it's I have the asset. The asset is my database. It's my contact. It's my sphere. It's everyone I've prospected off Zillow, RedX, GeoLeads, social media, all of that stuff. I have my GoldBar system nurturing them, going ahead and getting more referrals. And every single time I get a referral, what do? I hand it off to one of my agent partners. So it's almost as if I have a team, like I'm not doing any of the work, but I have none of the expenses that come with running a team, which a lot of people, when you get into it, aren't aware of the numbers. Like if you're paying
Yeah.
someone 50% to handle your sales, right? Whether it's a buyer
Yeah.
agent or a listing agent, that's the equivalent of you starting a restaurant and immediately you're paying the hostess or the waiter or the cook 50% of all the revenue that comes into our restaurant. Like no matter what you do, you're not going to survive long term. However, in the real estate industry, we're just okay giving away 50% of all of our revenue to salespeople, which is kind of crazy.
That's what I'm
Why?
doing now. I'm doing that now, actually. That's
Yeah,
what I'm doing
but think
now.
about it. Like, if you want to run the
Holy
rest of
shit.
the business, you have to supply transaction managers, you have to supply marketing, you have to supply signs, you have to supply anything that has to do with like receptionists and picking up phone calls. And then there's training, there's coaching. That alone is going to be easily 30% just in
So
revenue
I'm
off the
giving up
top.
too much money.
So what are you
Wow.
left
This is
with? You're left with
interesting.
20. And if you
Yeah.
can make $1 million and you make 20%, that's 200K. But what if you could keep 50%? That's where you have to kind
That's a
of go
lot
ahead
more.
and change the entire model.
That's that. All right. So a lot to unpack there. So first things first. So lead generation, right? Because I think that's the most important thing as a real estate agent. Just actually any entrepreneur in
Yeah.
general. You gotta generate leads. I was with my barber today, and he was complaining that he wasn't getting business. I said, "Well, how are you getting leads?" He said, "I'm not. I'm sitting here and just waiting for leads to come in." I said, "You're never gonna make money that way." So
Correct.
like I don't care what business you're in. You need leads. Lead generation. That's the key. So for you, what was your secret sauce? Take us through like the beginning till now. Well, how are you generating this many leads? And how many leads were you generating?
So in the beginning, my entire strategy was going after everyone and anyone, trying to find we'll call it the needle in the haystack, right? If you were ready to buy or sell 5 years from now, I didn't even acknowledge you. Like it was that bad where like I was so short-term mindset like oriented that like I was looking for everyone within a 90-day time frame of being ready to transact. 2-3 years in, I meet this guy called Ricky Caruth, and he's preaching this entire philosophy, relationships over transactions. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And what I found at the time that was really interesting is most coaches that I came across were teaching you a specific strategy on how to go out there and get business, whether it was mastering for sell by owners, mastering expireds. A lot of them were selling courses on Facebook ads and Instagram, and they were always selling the strategy, but no one was actually sending like the fundamental philosophy that at the end of the day, people are people and they're going to go through life events. And if you wait long enough, one of those life events is going to force them to actually want to buy or sell. So in reality, if all you do is build a relationship with someone and make sure that they remember you through staying in touch and nurturing them, not like a drip campaign where you're like harassing them for like 8 weeks about like buying or selling, but like staying in touch with them in a genuine way on the holidays and through emails and stuff like that. Well, guess what's going to happen when that life event takes place, like a marriage or a divorce, right? Or maybe they're having a baby or expecting a relocation or whatever it may be. Well, guess who they end up
They're gonna
calling? They end
raise.
up calling you. And now you have something called a
Yeah.
referral, and that's when it clicked. So for my first 3 years, my database was like a complete waste. It was a mess. I didn't use a CRM, all of that stuff. And over the last 3 or 4 years, the database has become like the center or the focus of my entire business so that any single time I go out there and meet someone, I'm collecting their information, putting them in here, and now my system stays in touch with them up until that point they're ready to buy or sell.
That's amazing for like, agents that have been doing this like 5 years, built up a database. Actually, quick question before I forget. How many
Yeah.
people in your database right now?
15,300
Woo!
plus.
Whoa,
Yeah.
over 7 years. That's a crazy number. So all of these people in your database now, like, you had to build them up. So in the very beginning, right? Let's say a new agent right now is listening to this and they're like, well, Juan, I don't have 15,000 people in my database. I can't do this now. What would you say to them to like start building that database and start doing some deals now, generating leads now?
I would say take it one step at a time. If your goal is to close 12 transactions, all you really have to do is build a database of 1,200 people. How to get that number? You convert at 1% of your entire database and you have 1,200 people in there. Well, that's going to close you about 12 deals a year. Now, in regards to you getting to 1,200 people in your database, you just have to reverse engineer the entire math. 1,200 divided by 12 months is about 100 people a month. There's 4 weeks in a month. That's 25 people a week. And there's about what? 5 days in a week. If you're working Monday through Friday,
Seven, should be seven.
that
They
seven
should be
days in a
working
week.
seven.
But I tell everyone, don't
Yes.
work weekends if you want to have a life, right? But then at that point, you're only, like I said, you're only adding 5 people a day. So it's actually a lot simpler than people think it has to be. You don't have to worry about the strategy or the lead source or all that stuff. Just think of it this way: where can I go out there and speak, meet, and build a relationship with 5 humans today? And during that conversation, when can I ask them, hey, do you happen to have a realtor by any chance? And when they say no, because most of them don't, all you have to do is follow up and say, wonderful. If for whatever reason in the future you happen to need a realtor, could I be that person for you? And when they say sure, you just say, wonderful. Can you do me a favor and text me your email so I can stay in touch with you until then? And now what I have is a lead. Even though most people don't see that as a lead, it really is, because they can refer you business at any point in the future.
That's true. And then, the 1% just from them, those 1,200, 12 deals plus the referrals. Is that what you're talking to? Or is that just 1% like
I'm
with the
just doing
referrals
1% total. Like, we could be conservative,
total?
but you speak to 1,200 people and ask them if they have a realtor. Chances are that a lot of them are going to be ready to buy or sell at that moment. And even if it's 5 or 6, 7 people, take those 7 people, add them to the 12 referrals you got from nurturing them, and now you're even closing more deals.
That's a really good, and because like 5 people a day, like anybody can talk to 5 people a day. That's like
Anyone
that's like
can.
nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the grocery store. You can talk to 5 people, just for an
And
hour of
that's what I
grocery
tell
store.
them. Like, it's irrelevant where you meet them. Are they a human? Cool. Are they local? Awesome. Build a relationship with them. And then when you stop looking at it as like, I can't find any more business, business is all around you. You're just looking at them from the wrong perspective.
Yeah, I like that too. So, what about? So that's like I would call that networking, right? That's like a networking philosophy because I really preach like find one niche and then become the master or expert in that one niche. So in my mind, that's like the networking niche, right? Are there any other niches that you think are good lead generation tools right now? Because listen, you got like open houses, for sale by owner, which expires, which Ricky Carruth, he's like the expert at like that whole thing. So if anybody wants to learn Fizbo's expires, check out Ricky Carruth. He's on Instagram. But yeah, like you got mailers, farming, my rental strategy. What other good lead generation strategies you think there are right now?
So let's just go off the top of our head. The first one's door knocking. The reason door knocking has such a high success rate is because every single person you're knocking on a door owns a huge asset. Like, think about
Oh
it. If you
yeah,
literally approach a homeowner and you're knocking on their door and they open up, they own that house. That's a potential seller in the future. And most sellers need to buy. So that's a double deal at some point. So door knocking is one of them. Number two is cold
that's
calling those same homeowners, asking them if they need a free evaluation for their property. You do this with 100 people, maybe 5 or 6 of them say yes, and the rest of them say no. And then you just ask them, can I be a realtor in the future if you need one? Sure. Collect their information, and boom, you stay in touch with them as well. Number three, you have social media, Facebook, Instagram. We all have thousands and thousands of friends and people we follow, yet we never take the time to prospect them and ask them for their email. That's another source right there. Then you can go to networking events. You can literally meet people in local businesses, organizations, chambers of commerce, whatever it may be on a local level. There's that. Then we could talk about referral organizations such as BNI. We could talk about joining clubs like tennis or pickleball. We could talk about getting involved with the local community through charities and events. We could then go ahead and tap into for sub by owners. We could talk about expireds. We could talk about probates. We could talk about networking with attorneys from divorce and bankruptcy attorneys that
the
have a lot of
expireds,
listings. I could
the
go all
Fizbos
day,
and
Andy,
expireds.
but
Well,
what I'm
I'm
trying
just
to get to is like, it's
yeah.
like the strategy, like everything I just mentioned. I know someone that makes $1 million a year selling real estate too, using that one strategy. Stop focusing on the strategy. I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to everyone else. The strategy
Yeah.
is not the secret sauce. The secret sauce is just doing something consistently, whether that's speaking to people at the grocery store, speaking of Uber drivers, cold calling, and building a relationship with 5 people a day. If people could just wrap their heads around that, for me, I don't have one strategy. The entire world is my oyster. Everything I just mentioned, I do. Like we speak to everyone in
Do it
those
all.
organization. Yeah, because like everyone's like trying to go out of their way to be like, I want to just become an expert at this. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
that's awesome. But like, you're not going to become an expert at for sale by owners, calling them 5 times. Do that for an hour a day, every single day, and then if you run out of for sale by owners, head to expires. You run out of expires, head to homeowners. Like the whole goal is how can you just feed your database with more people?
Yeah, so you're because you're the master of systems. So actually, honestly, this makes sense. Because you're well, actually you are focusing on one niche, but that's systems. Like your one niche, and from what I'm hearing from you, is actually database. And you're doing everything you possibly can to build that database. So believe it or not, you actually are only doing one niche, and that's
In a
systems building.
way, in a way,
That's
when
it.
you put it that way,
Yeah.
I could
If you
see
think
it
about it.
absolutely.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
you're the master of systems and database. Like then I think that's like the same thing. So yeah, like I think that's the thing that most agents are missing. Just like you're saying, like it's lead generation. That's it. All you got to do is generate leads. So if and then don't stop. Don't ever stop. Like question for you. Did you ever stop generating leads when you were on your come up, making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars every year? Did you ever stop generating leads?
I don't think I could stop generating leads if I wanted to. Every single time I speak to a human being, I just went to a Miami conference. I was speaking. You were there. Like,
It was
I don't
great.
know. We got like 25 appointments, booked calls, just from doing
Ooh,
that event. So let's talk about that, right? Like, basically,
yeah.
any single time you meet a human being, if it just becomes a habit to ask them a realtor, it's almost impossible to stop generating leads unless you stop talking to humans entirely. Okay, so like my lead gen strategy is talking to humans, like down to the most simple signs we could get it down to. It's speak to humans and ask them the question if I could be their realtor in the future. When they say yes, stick them in this system, stay in touch with them. And if you stay in touch with them correctly, what's going to end up happening? They're going to send you a referral or they're going to become a client themselves. But before that happens, they have to book a meeting with you. So let's talk about consultations. The only metric that I believe matters in real estate is how many consultations you go on every single week. It's the one thing that determines whether you're going to have a really good pipeline of clients in the future or if you're not going to make any money next month whatsoever. Your consultations is basically the one thing that has to happen. It's the one major event that has to happen before you actually sign someone. And if you were to have 20 buyer consultations a week or 20 listing appointments a week, I could probably guarantee you could be the worst closer on the planet. You'd probably end up closing some of them, and you're going to have business for the following month and the following year. So here's how I kind of measure everything. Everything that we track is called a KPI, a key performance indicator. And our number one KPI, when all is said and done, is a consultation or what I call a booked call. Every single time we start a marketing campaign, or every single time we go to an event, or every single time I grab a meeting with someone, or every single time I do a podcast, the question I ask myself, Andy, is how many booked calls will I get from spending the next 30 minutes with Andy or with whatever I'm doing? And if the
Oh.
answer is zero, or it's something very low, it's a waste of time. And I think if real
Yeah.
estate agents started seeing their time as really just a way to generate more consultations, they would stop doing half the crap that isn't working for them. Like, how many times have you gone out to coffee with someone and like there was at least no like purpose or value to that meeting, and like you thought it was a productive meeting, but there was no consultation that ever got booked in the future because of it? Like, this happens all the time. People are doing like all these fancy things, buying all this software and they're buying all these courses, but like you doing all those actions, how is that going to get you more booked calls? So there's only two ways to get more booked calls: build more relationships and stay in touch with them more often. And if you just focus on those two things, it's almost impossible not to get listing and buyer presentations.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I like what you said there too about like going to coffee with people for no reason whatsoever. And I had to do the same thing. I cut a lot of people out of my life. Like if it's not a money producing activity, I'm kind of like, shying away from it. Obviously, I do some fun stuff in my free time. But if it's not a money producing activity, I'm not doing pointless, crap anymore. I'm really just not. I'm at the point where my time is so valuable. I have to make it make sense to further my business, and my goals and dreams. And have you cut a lot of people out of your life, on the come up right now? Have you cut a lot of people out of your life that you thought were bad influences?
It's not that they were bad influences. It's just that they weren't actually contributing to my life in a positive way. And that could be
Which is,
mentally
yeah,
through just giving
yeah,
me like negative energy and not supporting me.
exactly.
Or
Yeah,
it could
that's what I
be
meant.
or it could be something physically where like they were taking up a lot of my time and like I just wasn't getting a good ROI from the friendship or whatever it may be. So I
Yeah.
would say yes. Like my whole goal is to surround myself with people that motivate me, inspire me, and help me and support my journey. And a lot of that has to do with removing people from your life that, like I said, don't feed it in a positive way. So I'm pretty big on surrounding myself with people that make you happy and allow you to live a positive lifestyle. And sometimes that means cutting off dead weight that is holding you back from getting to where you want to get to.
That is so important that you said that because, a lot of people, they grow up with their high school, childhood friends and everything, but you guys go in different paths. You have big, ambitious, big dreams, and you might have a friend who's not there. They're doing things, same old stuff, not really progressing and everything. And they're truly holding you back because exactly everything you just said. It's crazy. We literally have like the same mindset. Even when you like reverse engineered the 1,200 calls, by months and days, like, oh my God, I would think of it exactly the same way. It's so funny how your mind works because I feel like any successful person, they have to think of things logically, and that's exactly how you think of things. Were you like born this way, or like how did this like happen? Like how did you become so like intelligent?
So I would say that my entire drive started getting fueled around the age of 23 when I realized that growing up, I had these amazing parents that gave me the lifestyle that I could only dream of as a child. However, they were always working 24/7. So my whole like motivation always like, how can I give them the life that they deserve and retire them from having to work every single day? From there, it was almost like, okay, cool. Once I accomplish this, like what's next? I don't want to be living in their same lifestyle. So how do I give myself that lifestyle as well? And then the third thing was kind of finally like, okay, how do I help others achieve the entire same thing also? So I'm at that point where I'm towards the final stages of me really understanding of what I have to do to provide for my parents, my family, and myself. And then pretty much like the second half of my life, we'll call it the next 5 to 10 years, is teaching
Yeah.
others how to do the same exact thing that I did. So I would say that I wasn't born this way as far as like having this crazy drive. It was through a
Yeah.
combination of reading some books that caused me to have some huge epiphanies, attending conferences, meeting incredible mentors, and just getting inspired by what people are doing out there. And a real big inspiration for me is like once someone does something, I always ask myself, well, if they did it, why can't I do it? And that's kind of like the entire philosophy behind like what's driving me so far. It's like I've seen so many successful people that are way younger than me completely crush it in their business. So I feel that I could do the same thing also.
Oh, that I love that you just said that. That's kind of what like started my motivational path. I had a moment, but I won't even talk about it. I've said it so many times. But I feel like the same thing. Like I'll see like Grant Cardone, you know what I mean? I love the guy. He seems really funny. I never met him before. I'm sure you probably have. But he's a billionaire, and I'm like, if this guy can do it, why the hell can I not do it? Like he's the same, breathes the same air as me, drinks the same water. If he can do it, I can do it too. And I have the same mentality. I think a lot of people are missing that. They're seeing successful, wealthy people, and they're like, well, how the hell did they do that? Well, it was hard work, it was dedication, it was drive, ambition, and it was momentum. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people miss is momentum. You like your momentum. Has it ever stopped in the past 7 years since 2016? Has your momentum ever stopped?
I would say that the momentum keeps on going as long as you surround yourself with the right people and you continue to focus on your end goal. Focus is such a big component of us just staying on the same path because I feel like we get really surrounded by all these shiny objects. We get so many opportunities thrown our way, and those are things that could really detract us. So I'll be honest, like maybe 3, 4 years ago, I got really interested in different opportunities when it came to like investing and all these other like business models. And I just said to myself, like, hey,
Oh,
the only focus I have now is scaling my immediate company and just focusing on that. And when you have the right focus in place and you know exactly where you want to get to, it's almost impossible for anything to get in your way. And I see that a lot with you.
yeah.
Like you're so focused, you're so ambitious, and like we've talked about your goals, but you're always like laser focused on like, I'm gonna build my business, I'm gonna build my coaching agency, I'm gonna become on YouTube. And like it's all interconnected, it's all aiming toward that same path. So I think cutting out all the fluff of like different opportunities and different things that aren't related to that main goal is probably the biggest hack to getting there as soon as possible.
I like that. I like that. So I also just heard you say something about a few years ago. I don't want to say failures because obviously, success comes with a ton of failures and problems, and that's what success rates or separates the winners from the losers is handling those failures. It's not how you can win; it's how you can lose. So, what happened a few years ago? Did you really have some things that set you back?
I would say that the biggest thing that set me back is me getting involved with either the wrong people or the wrong business models that had nothing to do with my long term goals. And that could have
Oh.
like gone ahead if I just focused on what I had to do instead of doing these like 4 or 5 different things at once. I'd be way further along than I am now. But hey, hindsight's 2020. Like, you can only know what you know after you kind of go through that entire experience. So for me, it's a matter of like learning from my mistakes, learning from my failures, and use them as an opportunity to grow, not as an opportunity to go ahead and say like, oh, I could have gone there faster. If anything, I'm very grateful for everything I went through.
I heard this quote. It was like an Andrew Tate podcast, and it was like a psychologist interviewing him, and he was like, "The way I see problems, when I get a problem coming my way, I think of it as yes, please give me another." Meaning, he gets a chance to prove himself. He gets a chance to grow and learn. If you're, I don't know if you ever heard that quote before.
Never heard it before. No.
Once I heard that, I was like, "Holy crap!" That literally changed like my mindset on like failures and problems and stuff. Because before, I swear to God, I would get so upset if I had a deal. If let's say I had a $500,000 house, $15,000 commission, and all of a sudden I lose it, I would be in a bad mood for like 3 or 4 days. No joke. I would literally be like upset for 3 or 4 days. I would do my normal stuff, but I would just be in like a bad, irritated mood until I heard that, and I was like, "Wait a minute." He's right. Like, why am I thinking about problems as negatives? They're not negatives. They're chances to prove yourself and change something and get to the next level. So once I started thinking of things that way, I don't get upset anymore. Like if I have a problem that happens, I'm like, no big deal. I'm going to solve it, learn from it, and move on to the next thing and keep growing. And that's the exact same mentality it seems like you have too. How did you learn that?
I would say that the main way that I learned it was through just going through it so many times and realizing that, hey, the more I fail, the closer I get to my goal because the wiser I become. So after you failing like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times in a row, you realize, wait, I'm actually further along than I was like 6 months ago before the failure. Then you start seeing the failure as a good thing or as an opportunity to grow versus as a thing that's going to hold you back. And then from there, it's kind of like the whole saying, like, well, instead of going out there and becoming successful, how do I just find a way to fail faster?
Oh, I like that. I like that. So I want to talk about this really quick. So money to you, what does it really like mean to you? Because listen, you're really successful. Bringing in a lot of money. Wait, how old are you, by the way? I don't even think I know how old you are.
I'm 30 years old.
Jesus, you're 30? I'm 36. So you're young. You're freaking
You're
young.
very young
You're
as
like
well. We're super young. We're children.
Yeah, you're younger. No, I mean, for your age, obviously, for any age, I don't care if you're 60 years old. At the level you're at, I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. But like, what does this mean to you having these successes and the money and stuff? Like, has this changed your life? Like, what do you do differently now that you can kind of like do whatever you want?
I'll be honest. Money, I do realize has that power to change a lot of people, or I wouldn't say change them, but it amplifies who they are from within. And for me, I'll be honest, I'm the
Ooh,
same exact person. I wake up, I work out every single morning. I work hard throughout the day, and then in the evening time, I grab dinner with my girlfriend. We watch a movie, go to sleep, and do the same thing all over again. I do spend a lot of weekends traveling. I go to the beach a lot. I like to see my family. But you go ahead and you add, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million to my net worth tomorrow. I'm doing the same exact thing. So money to me is an opportunity to get more of your time back. It's an opportunity for me to go out there and impact more lives and help more people. But more importantly, it's a resource to have control over your life and destiny. And like I said, once you have that control, there's only so much money that you could have that's going to give you more control. If anything, like once you make too
yeah.
much money, or let's say you're the CEO of a publicly traded company who's making tens of millions of dollars a year, but now you have all this like responsibility upon your plate, and now it's almost like you make so much money that you kind of start losing your control again. So for me, I never want money to be a hindrance in terms of what I do. I wanted to get to the point where it allows me to supply for my family and live the life that I want to live, but I never want it to become something that I'm making so much of it that I now am responsible for having to go ahead and work for it. So I want my money to work for me. I don't want to have to work for it.
Do you have like a number in mind where you're like, all right, once I hit this, I'm good. I'm set.
I thought about this so many times over, and it's so funny. Like when you're 23, my number was 100K. And like,
A year, okay.
yeah, 100K a year. And I was like, that's the
Okay.
number. And then
Okay.
I hit that, and I'm like, that's a little. And I'm like, okay, what about a quarter million? And then like you hit that, it's like, okay, what about 500,000? Okay. And then it's like, well, what if I could make that without doing anything? So then I went back and I'm like, okay, I made $500,000 working. What if I could make 100K passive? And then you do that, and it's like,
Ooh.
well, 250K passive. What about 500K passive? And then it's like this recurring thing. So like, I found that's all an illusion. I can tell you whatever number I have in mind right now, and I promise you, five
Yeah,
years from now, it'd
it's
probably be
gonna change.
triple whatever I think it is. So think of the number, right? Think of the number as kind of like the goalpost of where like you want to go to, and it kind of tells you what direction you have to run in and how fast or how hard you have to run in that direction. That being said, that goalpost is always going to move because as you get further along the entire business experience of building your company and scaling and doing all these things, like you're not going to keep that same goalpost there if you know you're going to hit it in a year. You just keep pushing it out further and further and further and further. So I tell everyone like that massive net worth number, that end goal, whatever, it's an illusion. It's a good measure of like what you need to be
Oh.
doing as far as like getting there and what you have to do to kind of like reach your goals. But the big secret, the big epiphany that I had, it's that the goalpost is always going to be moving. Why not enjoy the run or the journey to get there? And like that's where I'm trying to live more and more present every single day. It's like I've already made it. Heck, I already made it 5 years ago because
Yeah.
today's as young as we're going to be, right? Like if we could just enjoy life right now and really just cherish every single moment, it doesn't matter by the time you get to that goalpost, you're going to be happy for like a minute. Immediately, you're going to go ahead and set a bigger goal. And then you realize, wow, I just wasted my entire life living in the future when I could have been living in the present.
Yeah, dude, it's like you're not satisfied with what you have, but I think that's good. That's not a negative. I think that's what propels, like the Elon Musk's and the Jeff Bezos of the world, not being satisfied. You
Yeah.
hit the million, and then you're like, you know what, million's not that great, and guess what? You're not growing at that point, right? If you keep staying at a million every single year, you're stagnant, and then at that point, you're not being fulfilled because you feel like you're failing because you're not growing. So I think that's what it mainly is. And hearing you say it, like, yeah, you're addicted to like the chase, like the thrill of like growing and learning things and getting better every single year. I think that's what you love. That's
It's almost like I never want to stop like the growth. However, I'm so grateful for where I'm at the moment. So it's a combination of
yeah,
being happy and it's a combination of being present while still being able to focus on the future. Like it's like a weird way to explain it, but like
it
at
makes
the
sense
end
to
of
me.
the day, like we have two options. If I look at life in this way, I'd frame it this way. I have two options. I could go out there and be happy my entire life, and then when I get to this goal, I could just be miserable for like 1% of my life, or I could chase my entire life like going after this goal, be miserable for 99% of it, and then once I get to this goal, which is that 1%, I'm happy then. I rather be happy doing the 99% and then be a little bit miserable for around like an hour once I get to that major goal, instead of doing it the opposite, where you're happy for a split moment when you reach that goal, and then you're miserable the entire time getting there.
So you love, like, basically every single night, when you go to bed, you're probably not like, oh crap, I gotta wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. You're probably like, wow, I get to wake up at
I
6 a.m.
love
Then
it.
when you wake up, right? Right.
I love waking up early. I woke up at like we woke up at like 6 a.m. this morning to go play tennis. And like I woke up and I'm
Oh,
happy. Like,
I play tennis too. Wait, are you good at
oh,
tennis?
we're gonna get double. I just started. You ever play
You
pickleball?
started? Not pickleball. I've been playing tennis since I was like 10 years old. The
I'll teach
lessons
you
and everything. I was
pickleball,
on
you
the high
teach
school
me
team.
tennis. I will get into
Okay,
it.
okay. I'm very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at tennis. Yes.
Okay, cool. But
That's
like I said, like it's I wake up, I work out, I have fun, and then when I go to sleep, like I can't wait to work to actually like wake up the next day. That's like kind of my
yeah.
philosophy with this. Like my work is fun. It's like I used to play video games when I was younger. I see work as like a video game. Like I'm just
Oh
always
my
advancing,
god.
getting to the next level. Like I don't see it as like a chore.
I can't believe you just fucking said that. Literally, I cannot believe I've been thinking that for the past like couple months now. Because I used to be addicted to video games. I was like a fucking nerd, and I would play video
What video
games
games
for
you
like
play?
hours. Oh man, I'm gonna have Call of Duty, obviously, but like before that, I was playing a lot of first person shooters.
You ever play Counter
There was this
Strike?
old, yeah, of course, CS:GO. Yeah, I was playing Counter
CS:GO,
Strike,
CS
of course.
1.6. That was my game.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I would play a ton of CS:GO. There was like a game called Soldier of Fortune. It was like a FPS. You probably never heard of that one, but like, I'll play some like RPGs and stuff, and like I would love video games, and
Are
I
you a
think I
World of
loved it
Warcraft
because
guy?
No, I never played that. I never played that. Honestly, I liked Fantasy Star Online. It's so nerdy and stuff like that. But that was I fucking love that game. Like that was like the one where you collect items and everything and progress. But I think I loved it so much because I liked progression, you know. But like when I was
Yes.
younger and everything, I didn't have that in my life. And now I'm starting to think I gotta make a YouTube video on this because this is like so real right
Well,
now.
yeah,
Like
no, no, now we're going down the rabbit hole. But for anyone listening, an RPG stands for role playing game. And it's basically
it
when you have
does.
this character within a video game that has the opportunity to get levels, earn money, and actually like build out like your weapons or your tools as you go on this like
Yes.
fantasy journey. I was addicted to that also because every time you log on,
Yes.
you pick up where you left off. So it's almost like you're
Yes.
not wasting your time playing a video game, like you're progressing in life. And
Yes.
now that I don't play video games anymore, I see my own life as like every day I get to wake up and I'm over here and now I get to progress to the next level. Like that's the way I see it.
Dude, I literally see it the exact same way. Just because I was addicted to video games back then. I'm sure you were too. So like it's
Yeah.
a great analogy for life though. Like life is one big video game, and once you start like for anybody watching right now, like once you start hitting successes, and then you start getting hungry for more successes, it literally feels like you're playing a video game. But it's so much. How much better is it than when you were playing video games?
I just think like in the video game, you don't control your environment, you don't control like future outcomes. Like you have to go out of your way to do all these things, and then like that final boss could wipe you out and destroy you at the end. Whereas over here, like we are in full control of everything, like who we surround ourselves with, what type of information
Yeah.
we consume, what we do on a daily basis. So there's just so many more variables that we have access to. And like for me, it's just like it's just fun. Like find something that you love doing every single day. Find something that doesn't feel like work. And if you're in real estate and you're building your business, you're not really happy with what you're doing, like outsource the things that you don't like in the business. Because I could guarantee you, you probably like a lot of things of being an agent or being a loan officer or doing whatever, but you're probably doing things that suck that you may not have the best use of your time for. So whatever you're doing, whether you're in real estate or another business, like there's probably two or three things you really love. Focus on those, outsource the rest, and then if you need a system to get there, well, you know who to call.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you just said that too, because that's where I was at. There was some things I liked doing in real estate, and some things I really did not like doing. So once I started outsourcing those things, I had so much higher quality of life. Like I literally wake up every single day with a massive smile on my face. I don't have any kind of, even if I have a problem or an issue, like now I have my new mentality. Yes, please give me another. But now I don't have to do the things I don't like doing anymore. I only do the things I enjoy. And listen, guys, for anybody watching, like if you are in the beginning of your career, yes, you're gonna have to do the things you don't want to do. We're not saying, don't stop doing the hard things now when you're building, but once you've grinded for a long enough time, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you, then you can start outsourcing that stuff. Because Juan did it, I did it, you have to put in your sweat and your blood and your tears first, and then eventually you'll never have to do it again. That's why I'm such a strong believer in the beginning stage of a career. You gotta work your ass off. You gotta work those 12 hours a day, Monday through Sunday. Don't turn your phone off. Don't take vacations. And if you do take a vacation, keep your damn phone on you, okay? Just for the first couple years, because I promise you guys, if you do that, you will never have to do it again if you don't choose to. What do you think about that?
I think, listen, if you do something right once and you set up the right systems and processes in place to do it over and over again without you being there, then you're absolutely correct. You could build anything that runs without you being there. It means you're making money in your sleep.
I like it. I like it. So, Juan, you have Gold Bar, okay? And we talked about it in, maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes ago. Um, where could everybody find you?
So my Instagram handle is Juan Goldbar, Juan Gold Bar. You can message me on there, or easily if you want to go ahead and book a demonstration on what Gold Bar is and how it can help your business, you can just go to goldbarsystem.com. And we'll walk you through the entire process of what we will do to implement our entire system into your business to help you generate more leads, convert those leads, and nurture them long term. And like I said, we'll give you the exact process that we're currently using to scale our agency and run our coaching and training platform business as well. So for us, it's a matter of like, we want to give you clarity. We want to give you confidence within your business. And there's two ways to do it. We could train you on how to do it, which we do have a training platform and it's awesome. But I'll be honest, most people don't take the time to go through it and implement, or we could just do it for you. And I think for a lot of people, we solve that issue and that problem in the marketplace where no one wants to do it themselves. And we've been a life changer for a lot of people that want to go ahead and hire us.
That's what Juan is doing for me, guys. And I highly, highly encourage you and suggest go to his Instagram, go to his website, book a call, because he did that for me. And I'm not doing it myself. He's got people doing it for me. And I could be doing better things with my time. If I can make more money doing something else than I can pay somebody to do, then it doesn't make sense for me to do it myself. And that's what Juan's doing for me. So everybody out there, go to his Instagram, go to his website, book a call. It really is changing my life, and I know it's going to change your lives as well. Well, Juan, thank you so much, for coming on my show. That's all we got for today. So definitely smash the like button, drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this, and everybody subscribe to my channel too, because I have about 75% of people that are not subscribed. So guys, hit that subscribe button. Go and look at your phone right now. Hit that subscribe button, because I'm dropping fire every single week. And that's it. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Juan.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.